Nigerians on a daily basis lose millions of naira to fraudulent investment schemes that continue to permeate the country's landscape.
We have people in diaspora, we have people in Nigeria here who have invested millions of naira into EATRICH FARMS. He has a lot of influencers that he used to lure people into these schemes.
For Sam Afolabi, I don't know how he must have gone around it and found his way around creating so many investment companies to dupe people.
In 2021, the founder of EATRICH Farm, Mr. Sam Afolabi, told all his employees one day to open an account with Sterling Bank. Now, the initial reason why he told them was because Sterling Bank would allow them get their salaries faster than any other bank. And that was the excuse he initially told them. And all of them actually reasoned with him and all opened an account with Sterling Bank. Few months later, he called a general meeting in his office. And in this general meeting, he told all his employees who have opened an account with Sterling Bank to apply for an agricultural loan. He told them that the company is trying to expand. And in trying to expand, they need more money. And so these employees will use the loan that they have collected, and you will collect it from them and use it to set up a fish farming project in Ogun State, which will allow the company to expand. He told them that any profit they make, they will use it to pay back this loan as well as get profit from this particular project. You see, EATRICH Farm is an agric tech company, a place where anybody can invest in farming projects and earn high returns based on what their company objective states. Now, at the beginning, it operated as a crowdfunding agricultural project where a pool of people will invest all their money into a particular agricultural business, whether farming, whether fishing, and then they get revenue. And this revenue will be distributed back to the investors. The business is focused primarily around investors' funds. When they receive money from investors, they use it to finance real farming projects. They even promise investors up to 50% to 100% return percentage within months based on their individual investment, which usually take about 3 to 12 months maturity period. And one other thing is that they also promised investors additional commission if they can bring people to join their platform, a mere referral strategy program used by multi-level marketing companies, whereby they use money from new investors to pay older investors, and the cycle continues like that. Now, the shocking thing is that this actually worked. Now, it worked for several reasons. First of all, because it was in the agricultural sector. And number two was because of their aggressive marketing style. In fact, they did a lot of marketing, hired a lot of influencers, and also paid celebrities to be the face of their company. Now, it became so good that even kings of the local areas also invested money in this platform as well, as a result of the popularity it was getting over time. Early investors who received payment started sharing their testimonials online as well, now to build their credibility, which eventually led to significant investment from a lot and lots of people. Now, another thing that made it work was because, unlike the typical Ponzi scheme where they only operate on social media and don't have any office, EATRICH Farms had offices in specific places in the country: Lagos, Abuja, as well as in Port Harcourt. And they had numerous staff as well, and they opened several branches in several numerous areas across the country, so that anybody who has a complaint can easily go to these offices and lodge a complaint and help the person to resolve it. And this gave a lot of people confidence and made a lot of people to also invest large amounts of money on this particular platform. They hosted several investment seminars. They used these seminars as an opportunity to pitch their business models to new investors. One of the most deceptive tactics they used was that they were organizing farming tours, whereby investors were invited to visit what was supposed to be their real farming operations, where they saw large plots of land, fish ponds stocked with fishes, poultry farms with chickens, tractors, and farm equipment. The truth was the fact that they actually didn't own any of these farms. They didn't own any of this equipment, and some of them were actually borrowed from independent farmers in order for them to show investors that they were existing, but rather they were not the real owners of those particular assets. And because of these seminars, physical offices, celebrities' endorsements, as well as assets they were showing to a lot of investors, it continued to pour thousands and thousands of people to actually subscribe to this particular plan, and money began to pour in like water. Around the middle of 2021, the rumor of trouble began to spread around investors. A company that was known for quick payout and high returns started delaying payments. Investors who were supposed to receive their profits after about 3 to 6 months began to get different excuses instead of payouts. It got to a point that investors started receiving half payments rather than full payments they were receiving before. When people began to complain to the company came out and blamed the delays of these payments to COVID-19 disruptions. And because their answer was actually convincing, a lot of people believed them. People remained hopeful and started believing everything that they started telling them. But internally, the company was actually operating more or less like a Ponzi scheme. Their business model relied majorly on new investors' money to pay old investors. And because word started spreading out fast, fewer and fewer people began to join and invest in the business. And this created a cash flow problem, meaning that EATRICH Farms was no longer having money to pay everyone as it normally does before. And once the company discovered that fewer and fewer people were joining, they decided to launch an elaborate PR where they actually even endorsed more celebrities and even paid more influencers to market these their brands. They announced even more farming projects with large-scale businesses to show to people that they are actually expanding, in order to change people's thoughts that they were actually running out of money. They offered bonus incentive to convince investors to reinvest their money instead of withdrawing them. And despite all this effort, investors were gradually losing confidence and withdrawals began to outnumber new investments rapidly. Around that time, the loan he told his employee to apply for became a problem, and this is why several employees who have opened an account with Sterling Bank started to get notifications from the bank saying that they were owing millions of naira worth of loan. And because a lot of these employees had not submitted their loan application to the bank, they were wondering how come they are being notified of an amount of money they didn't personally request for. However, what really happened was the founder of the companies with some employees at Sterling Bank connived with staff of the bank to process the loan ahead without the consent of the account owners, even without them even submitting any loan application to the bank. And then once this employee were credited this account without getting a notification, he automatically transferred the money from the account to a separate account. And it was after several months that they merely got a notification that they are owing a specific amount of money. By October the same year, the situation of the company got out of control. Thousands of investors were bombarding the company customer service line. They were demanding for their money back. They visited their known physical offices at Lagos and Abuja office to demand for explanation. Some investors even staged protests outside the offices, chanting that they need their money back. However, before they got there, the offices were abandoned, the receptionists and staff had disappeared overnight, their phone numbers stopped working, email bounced back, and no one could reach the CEO again. Now, the biggest question is, where is the CEO, Mr. Sam Afolabi? There were reports that he had fled the country, while some people report that he's actually hiding in several places across the country. But there was a strange report that he's currently in Kano State, trying to start another Ponzi scheme. Many investors lost their savings. Some went into depression, and some even went into financial ruins. Even after making reports to the Nigerian police and the EFCC, investors and employees, they complained that their process was very slow and they weren't getting any positive feedback from the security agencies. And so after several months of trying to get a response, they got a hold of the brother of the CEO, Timi Afolabi, and they discovered that he was trying to sell some of the assets of the company without informing the investors who had stake in that particular business. They got hold of him, arrested him, and took him to court. And after several depositions and arguments in court, he was actually sentenced to 9 months imprisonment for trying to sell the assets of companies without informing investors and stakeholders of that particular company. After about 3 years, specifically May 2024, there were reports that the CEO, Mr. Sam Afolabi, has started a new company called Century Factory Limited, and he announced this via his Facebook post. In the post, he said that the company is worth $150 million and is seeking about 50 investors who will invest in this particular company so as to make it profitable. And he used this money to pay the EATRICH investors, specifically those that were not able to get the returns and as well as the capital they invested in their company. Currently, the company has been registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission and it has 2 directors and 2 shareholders. The money he owed previous directors he had not paid. The interest has not been paid. His whereabouts is nowhere to be found. The security agencies has also not arrested him or made any statements after that. He's still at large and the case has not been settled till today. What do you think about this particular fraud? Do you think that the investors were greedy, or do you think that this man just went ahead to deceive a lot of them? Type on the comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you like this video because it will mean a lot to us. We'll see you in the next one.